Yo, this is SoulDrum86 bringing you another video. Now, before I get started, I just want to make a couple disclaimers, right? There's fun to be had in 2K, right? This game isn't a complete dud. It's not an awful game, right? The other disclaimer is that these are just my thoughts and my opinions. And if you just happen to find that you share the same thoughts and opinions, that's all good. And if you don't, it's still all good. With that all being said, what made me make this video is I've been playing the game, right? And I'm trying to create some content for old school matches. And along with that, I have to go to community creations. So, like I've mentioned before, there still are some great creations there, right? You can still find awesome arenas, especially from the Attitude Era. You can still find some great arenas there. You can still find a lot of great wrestlers to download. So it's not a complete dud, but there is a lot missing, and you could definitely tell from the lack of not having it be cross-platform in terms of being able to download from everybody. There are not a lot of pages full of content like there used to be. Every time I look something up, it's like 25 pages, maybe less of content. And what really led me to this video, right, was I always you hear it every year in a lot of people's reviews for 2K. They say if you haven't played a 2K in a while, definitely pick this one up, right? They'll tell you like, oh, if you liked last year, you'll like this year. And then the other one that they'll say is, like I just mentioned, if you haven't played a 2K game in a long time, definitely pick this one up. I have to say false on that one. And for the simple fact that there are things that we have lost in this game. Before I go back to community creations, I'm trying not to be all over the place, but before I go back to community creations, I want to talk about the fact that, like, the breakout system, I mentioned it in another video, and one of my subscribers even mentioned that, you don't really hear a lot of the big YouTubers talk about it. And the breakout system, like interfering in somebody's entrance, was a big deal for me personally, gameplay wise, because I utilized it a lot. I actually loved utilizing that feature. And it was cool because it gave you the freedom of interfering in somebody's entrance. On top of that, it never changed your opponent's entrance until they saw you and they locked eyes with you, depending on when you would interfere in their entrance. Because remember, you could interfere in their entrance if you come out to the ring first, or if you're going to come out to the ring second, you could interfere. So I used to utilize it both ways. There would be times where I would, you get that time limit, right, during the entrance, and you get a long time limit. It only starts to fade away when their entrance is getting ready to be over. You'll start to see that white bar, fill up. And I used to hit breakout to be right behind them, like almost like as soon as they come through the curtain. And I used to love sneaking up behind them if they were celebrating towards one end of the crowd. And I would break out, run around to the other side of the ring to then do an attack from behind, maybe a clothesline, some type of grapple. I never realized how much I utilized that until this year. And I hit breakout, and you have to wait. You have to wait, and then it's all timed, and it's all at the certain times. There's only 2 different breakouts, and they're cutscenes. I showcased this in a video before. When they're right by the ring, where they're getting ready to go to the ring steps, or when they're in the ring, there's an animation for your character sliding in the ring and then attacking them. And it's usually just a one hit, and then that's it. But before, you had all of the freedom to be able to hit your opponent the way you want it to. If you had a weapon, you got to swing the chair or the sledgehammer or whatever you used. You had the freedom to do it. And, I don't know if it's because now they have the camera cutscene thing where you can look and during the entrance, you can change the camera angles. I don't know if that had something to do with it, but I don't know if I would have liked for that to be sacrificed. yes, it's cool changing the camera angles to entrances, but for me, I always watch the entrances. So that never really did anything for me. It's a cool feature, don't get me wrong, but if it meant taking away that old breakout system, I'd rather have the old breakout system. 2K it continues to be a game that is full of limitations, right? And this goes to what I said in the beginning. When people say, "Oh, if you haven't played a 2K game in a while, definitely pick this one up," I would argue just from that aspect alone, that's reason number one not to rush out and get this game or feel like you have to buy this game. Because if the last 2K you played, they had the breakout system where you had the freedom and that was something that you enjoyed doing, well, if you play 2K25, that feature has been taken away from you and it has been, downgraded to just a simple quick cutscene. That's it. So from that standpoint alone, there's a negative. The other negative, which is a pretty big negative, is community creations, right? I'm going to go back to community creations now. Before the game released, we all knew that there was going to be limitations. We all knew that they were cutting out the ability to be able to download from PC users, Xbox users, or like old gen. So it's all old gen and PC being able to download from each other. And then it's Xbox 5, or Xbox 5, PS5 and Xbox Series X. That's that's it, right? We could only download from each other, and then last gen and PC they can download with each other. And it took me a while to go into community creations, but when I finally did, I only did it to download some wrestlers to use in my rise. And there are, like I said, there's some great creations still in the community creations. There really are. But then, I make my video and I'm like, look, I'm about to start putting up the old school wrestling matches again. I'm going to start doing this. It's going to be fun. This is exciting, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do what I was doing. Along with that, I want to download different arenas, right? Because in typical 2K fashion, they get rid of arenas. They used to have the Saturday Night's Main Event arena in this game. I'm talking about the 80s version. They used to have that WWE Live 91 arena forever. They took it out. It still hasn't been back. And they just continue to do that. I mentioned in videos, we did all that time unlocking all these arenas and they took them all out. And then you have to now unlock WrestleMania 31 again. What's the point? Seriously, if we already had it before, what is the point? So again, I would almost argue that somebody should get 2K24 while the servers are still up rather than to get 2K25. But again, I digress on that. But seriously, looking through the community creations and seeing how limited it is, seeing the lack of creations that are there because it's separated now. It's only current gen that can download and upload with each other. And then there's last gen. So there's so much that we're missing. There's a lot of content creators that I've realized were using a PC. I was, in fact, downloading from a lot of PC users. I didn't realize that at the time because a lot of the times I don't know. Sometimes you can tell, right? Sometimes you can tell, but there are other times where because there's already some really cool creations in the community creations tab right now, it can be hard to tell what people are using. And I'm talking about in previous years, but going to community creations and looking up certain users that I can't find anymore. I was looking up arenas from AEW and going through and not seeing Jenna, and Jenna made some of the best arenas that you could get, whether it was a WCW arena, an AEW arena, old school WWF arena. Like, she did it all, and I don't see her creations anymore. So that shows me that she was using a PC. There's another user that I showcased, and I did a spotlight on Jenna, but I also did a spotlight on a few other content creators. Like, if you go back and look at my channel, like, for those of you who are new, I've been for a while showcasing who's making some of the best creations in the community creations. And I can't find those people. When I look up the arenas, I'm not finding them at all. Another telltale sign about how limited we are now with community creations. So if I go here, right, I'm just going to pick a normal match. I'm not going to play a match, but I'm going to show you something. I didn't even have to go to it because it's right here on Raw 1997. So the only thing that I used to do in this game in terms of creation, I used to create arenas. I never uploaded them for community like creations or anything like that. I would just create them for myself. because I'm an old school head, I would always try to create the old school arenas. But the one thing that I always had a problem with was the turnbuckles. Not the turnbuckle color, not getting the old school WWE logo being an issue, not that. My issue was always trying to get the turnbuckles to look like what you're seeing on the screen right now. Anybody who's watched WWF highlights or watched WWF growing up like I did, where you saw the 80s, you saw the 90s, and even the early 2000s, even when the Attitude Era first started, the turnbuckle still looked like that before they had the scratch logo from the Attitude Era. The turnbuckle still looked like that, where you see that white padding on the back. And every time that I would try to use that and like cover the back part to be white, I would take images. I would do everything that I possibly could to cover that part of the turnbuckle. Now, I don't know. Here's why I think I already know what the case is. You know, if I'm just simply putting two and two together. I could be wrong. I want to say that maybe I was doing it wrong, but I wasn't. When you go to Community Creations right now and you look up old school WWF arenas, nobody's turnbuckles looks like that. Nobody's. So that's what I put two and two together, and I said, well, now that they have eliminated the ability to create or download from PC users, it was PCs modding the ring. They were using mods to be able to get that old school turnbuckle look. And I got to tell you, man, that really kind of dampened things for me. I know that it's a small detail. I get it. But the fact of the matter is that this is a game that's full of missing small details that over time could make for a better and bigger experience. I've always talked about on my channel that it's the little details that matter. This is why I used to always give props to the creators, the team that makes NBA 2K, is because they throw in those little details of the NBA. Like if you watch an NBA game and you play NBA 2K, they mirror each other perfectly. Like it's pretty much the TNT broadcast. There are so many little details that if you're not paying attention, you'll miss some. That's how small the details are. But when you're a detail-oriented person and you look at those small details, they jump out at you like it's the biggest detail ever. But because 2K, they always skip over the small details. I mean, look at the ring right now. I talked about this in one of my previous videos. It should not have the white WWE logo and World Wrestling Federation around all four sides. That's only supposed to be on two sides. And then the other two sides, it should be the WWE logo in different colors about 3 times across the ring apron. But they put this, and even if you look back at this match, because you unlocked this arena from doing the Hunter Hearst Helmsley and the Rock match. If you go back and look on YouTube, you can watch this match. Or if you want to go to the vault on Netflix or Peacock and watch this match, you will see that the ring apron is what I described. 2 sides of the ring have the World Wrestling Federation and the WWE logo in white. The other 2 sides have the WWF logo in different colors. It's like red, blue, and like yellow or red, blue, and white or whatever on the other side. And they missed those details. And so now when you look at Community Creations, the mods are gone now where you have to get the all blue turnbuckles because there's no way of coloring that whole back part of the turnbuckle all white. There's no way of doing that. And the fact that when you go to Community Creations now and you cannot see any of the turnbuckles that look like that, that right there shows me that it was because it was PC modded. Because I always had trouble covering that back part of the turnbuckle. Now, the other big issue with that is, why doesn't 2K just allow that to be a part of their creation suite? If they know that people are going to create the old school arenas because they want to take them out every year, why not give the user the ability to put those type of turnbuckles on their ring that already have it designed that way? Why isn't that a thing? Better yet, why does this game have it to where you can't edit the arenas that are actually in the game, and then once you edit them, you can save them as a new arena? Because if I go here, right, and I go to King of the Ring, right, this King of the Ring the way that the entrance and everything is, WWF back in the day, they have used this for multiple pay-per-views. WWE didn't start doing different entrances for every event until like the Attitude Era. But for a while in the 80s and in the 90s, they would typically use the same, not for every single show, but for specific shows, they would keep the same one for at least a couple of years until they changed it. And this, where you see King of the Ring on that screen back there, if you could simply change that from saying King of the Ring to saying like SummerSlam or Survivor Series, it would work. And then just let us change the ring skirt from saying King of the Ring and change the ring skirt to Survivor Series or SummerSlam. And then we'll have old school arenas available. And it'll still have the assets that 2K uses. It'll be what they created, but you would be able to make modifications to it. It's always puzzled me that that's never been an option to edit the arenas that are actually in the game. You can edit the wrestlers that are in the game, but they have not allowed the ability to edit the arenas. And I don't understand why. Even AEW, as bare bones as that game is, and as sucky as the as the creation suite was in AEW Fight Forever, they at least even allowed you to edit the arenas that were already in the game. You could modify your custom ones, or you could modify the arenas that were already in the game by default. So it's just interesting that a game with such a great creation suite, right? I think it's fair to say that WWE games historically have had some of the best creation suites available than any game out there. But they never allowed you the ability to be able to edit the arenas that are actually in the game. I just always thought that was a weird thing. But this is not about the fact that I can't get that white part on the turnbuckles that I like. I can't get the authentic look, because that's what it's about at the end of the day. It's about having that authentic look. What this is about, it speaks to the fact that this game, they continue to take things away, right? They add things, but then they take things away. Weapons, right? Let's look. Weapons, they've added more weapons. You can throw weapons now. Cool. That's awesome. All of that is great. But now, I mean, how long has it been since we've been able to get by a down opponent, right? Opponent is laying on the mat. You have a chair in your hand and you're by their legs. When is the last time we've been able to open up the chair and put their leg through the chair and then press the stomp button or the attack button for them to step on the chair and then have your opponent start grabbing their ankle in pain? When is the last time that we've been able to go by their head and put their head through the chair and then step on it, and then they hold their neck in pain? That used to be a part of the 2K franchise. So again, for people who say, well, if you haven't played a 2K game in a long time, play this one. Yeah, but that feature is even gone. The servers might be down for a lot of the older games, but people still remember what the servers were like. People remember what they were able to download in community creations. People are going to remember they weren't limited before with community creations. And now people are. So again, if you're telling somebody who maybe they loved the breakout system, maybe they loved being able to do those ground weapon grapples with the chair and all of those different things. Maybe they loved community creations, which a lot of people in the community do. Everybody, almost universally, most people, I'll say most people, a part of the 2K community, has always said that the community creations keeps the game alive. Community creations is what I do. I go to community creations. I download a ton of creations. I hear this all the time. I see it in my comment section in the past. I see it in other people's comment section whenever they talk about it. I remember leading up to 2K25, people were hoping and praying pretty much that they would not touch community creations. And lo and behold, they did. And not only did they touch community creations, they damn near ruined it. So no, this game isn't for people, even if they haven't played a 2K game in a long time. I would say if you haven't played a 2K game in a long time, I would ask the person, what was your last one? And when they tell me what their last one was, I would tell them to, hey, look, the servers are down. You're not going to be able to download anything. But I was like, well, you know, you can either play 2K22 or you can play 2K24, and those servers are still up. I would say play 2K24, buy that, download as much as you possibly can before they shut the servers down, and I think you'll be good. I think you'll be satisfied. Yes, there are gameplay improvements, there are gameplay updates, but there are also things that they have taken away from this game. And for me, a big part of it was community creations. I'm not a creator. I don't have the patience for it. I've always openly said that. It's never been my thing. It's never been my thing. But I always loved downloading from community creations. I used to love making videos showcasing what people were doing with community creations. And now to go on there and see that so many people are gone that were there last year, and I'm starting to see how many people were using a PC, it sucks. At the end of the day, it really does suck. You know? But then again, this comes from a franchise who used to hear for years, nobody liked the slingshot tech. But yet Brian Williams gets on interviews last year and says, oh yeah, we got this awesome slingshot tech. Nobody likes that, dude, and you know it. You know nobody likes the slingshot tech. So what are you talking about? Why are you boasting and bragging about a feature in a game that your community despises, that your community has been begging to be out of the game for years? And then they finally did this year, but showcase mode still sucks. On top of that, you got My Rise, where the vast majority of the community want the social media aspect of the game taken out. They want free roam backstage, in between the cutscenes and in between the story beats. They want free roam backstage. What do? They still keep it in. Before the game released, one of the female developers that was showcasing the game with the other male developer that both worked in WWE before, what did she say during that live stream? Oh, hey guys, don't sleep on the social media part. She knew. She knew. They pay attention. That's why they made her say it. They probably made her say that. I don't think she said that just on her own. I bet the big wig said, hey man, you got to talk about this. Because if people don't like a certain aspect of the game, it's not your job and your duty to force them to like it. We don't like it. We don't like being on checking our DMs and checking our messages. I don't care what side missions and or quests it has, what side stories. I don't care. We don't like it. Find a better way to implement that stuff. Find a better way to implement that stuff. It's better than gaslighting everybody and saying how great it is when we don't like it and we have experienced it year after year after year. But that's what you get with 2K. This team isn't customer friendly. They're not user friendly at all. I've said it before, this game is not made for our enjoyment. We make our enjoyment out of this game. Think about it. When we play universe mode, we're not given all the tools that we need to make that mode be what it is. But a lot of people make it work for them. I've seen a lot of creative people in the 2K community, a lot of creative people. People that I would love to see be hired on the team to actually give the actual devs ideas. That's how creative the 2K community is as a whole. I'm talking about everybody. There are so many ideas where I've talked to other fans of the game where I'm like, man, I didn't even think of that. That sounds cool. And I make videos constantly each year talking about ideas and things that I would love to see in universe mode. And then I talk to somebody else, several other people in the community, and I'll see their ideas, or I'll look on somebody like another person's video and look in the comment section, and I'll see somebody with this well thought out plan of what they would put in universe mode. And I'm like, my jaw drops. I'm floored by it because I'm like, yes, we should be here. But we have to have our own, we have to make the game fun in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, we have to make this game work for us based on our imagination, based on our creativity is how we make this game work for us. A part of what was so fun for me was playing with the legends. That is what was fun for me. playing with the legendary wrestlers, downloading legendary arenas where they felt and looked authentic. They looked like they were there by default because of how creative the community is. And now you take away that aspect of the community that made these great creations. I get it. Maybe it was making the game crash. I understand. But that's not why they took it out. They took it out because of the island. Because they didn't want modders taking stuff from the island. But guess what, 2K? You even messed up with the island, because even the big YouTubers, the guys that you fly out every single year, the guys and the girls that you fly out every single year, they're not even playing the mode. They're not even putting up content about it. Everybody that I'm subscribed to, they still put up universe mode stuff. Everybody that I'm subscribed to, they just put up random matches that they're doing, custom matches. Or they're simply just putting out news about when the next update is going to come out or when the next DLC is going to come out. That's what the people are doing that you fly out every single year to play the game early and get hands on. So the one thing that you sold this game on, even though nobody wanted it, the one thing that you sold this game on is a complete and utter dud, because it was unnecessary and it was unwanted, plain and simple. We wanted a better universe mode. We wanted a better game overall. We wanted a better experience overall. But after you get over with the new features of the game, we start to realize that we're simply playing a patch update from 2K24. But the patch update is broken because there are things that aren't there anymore. Old school arenas aren't there anymore. Maybe their contract was out. I'm trying to figure out why the hell Ted DiBiase is a manager in my faction, but he's not playable as a character anymore. Maybe Big Boss Man's, maybe his contract went up, right? Maybe the family, his estate has to sign a new contract. Okay. But there's things missing in this game. Breakout system is flawed. It's downgraded. I love the body bruising. I love the blood. It's more blood. I love all of that. I love jumping off the barricade. I think that's a nice touch. I love the fact that when you throw opponents into the barricade, it starts to break. You start to see the LEDs get destroyed. That's a nice little touch. I love it. I love the fact that you made the game so updated, right? Because typically, historically, this has been happening even since I was a kid. A wrestling game comes out, but already in real life, so much is updated that the game feels outdated. Some years worse than others. But nonetheless, the game would be outdated every time there was a release. But the fact that you guys actually made the Netflix arena and the Raw arena and you made the new SmackDown arena, I think that's something to give kudos to. But man, everything else, it's just okay, or it's not good. My GM, what dev thought that it was a good idea to make My GM multiplayer online, but you can't play any of the matches? What sense does that make? Is this game even made for us to have fun? What is this game made for now? Is it just a money grab? We're asked to pay $75 or $100 or $130. And even if we then pay $75 for the standard edition, might I add, the only edition that gives you a physical copy, we're still paying more money because we're getting the season pass, or we're picking and choosing what DLC we want to get, but it still adds up over time. And then if we're buying the supercharger, that is now $15 when it used to be like $3. And a supercharger that doesn't even unlock everything in the game. So you're paying more and it's not unlocking everything in the game like it used to. That is a slap in the face to the consumers. And it's a slap in the face to everybody who goes out and spends the money on this game every single year. Now, this video turned into a rant. I know. I didn't mean for it to become a rant, but I'm just speaking my mind. I have to. Somebody has to. Do you realize that I have less than 40 hours put into this game? By this time last year, I had a lot of hours put into 2K because for what it's worth, right? And it's not like 2K24 was the greatest thing ever, but there was fun that I found in it when I was downloading from the community, finding all of these great arenas that I would showcase, finding all of these great creations that I would showcase. I found amazing Hercules. I still can't even find a good Hercules I was going to say figure. I still can't find a good Hercules creation in the community creations. So much has been taken away from us. So no, this isn't a game that you want to pick up if you haven't played 2K in a while. I'm sorry, but it's not. At this point, Ultra Pro Wrestling can't come soon enough because I'm ready to be done. I am so ready to be done with this franchise. I'm not saying that I'm not going to put up content. I'm not saying that I'm not going to play this game anymore. Wrestling games are what I play because sadly, we are in a time now where in the gaming industry, it takes forever for games to come out. The development cycle for games is so long, and the good ones, for me at least, are so sporadic. Way back when, I used to play way more games than I do now. But now, not every game speaks to me because the industry now is a copycat industry. The majority of games that release are games that are going to take you 60 plus hours to beat. It's overwhelming. I don't want to play games like that. Like, I like Red Dead Redemption 2, right? I know that's a bit older, but I like Red Dead Redemption and stuff like that. But man, like, that game has so much in it. It's overwhelming. And then you get to a certain point where for people like me, I just kind of get sick of it. It's too much. So it's not for me. So in this day and age, because there's a lot of games that really aren't made for me, I gravitate to wrestling games. And the only wrestling game that is out that's really worth playing is WWE 2K. I had fun with AEW Fight Forever for the gameplay, but that was about it. It failed in everything else. It failed in every other aspect. So that's not a game that you can really play over this. And not to mention, WWE 2K has the wrestlers that I grew up idolizing, admiring, the wrestlers that I grew up that gave me fantastic TV throughout the years, all through my childhood, my teenage years, my early 20s. So when I play these old school matches, there's a lot that resonates with me. This is why this is a big deal, right? I know that I'm talking about a small thing when it comes to this game, like the turnbuckles or not being able to download a lot of the cool community creations. But you got to understand that it's bigger than that for me, because when I do these old school matches, it takes me back to those times. If I'm using Ultimate Warrior, or if I'm using Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, British Bulldog, when I was able to use Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, it takes me back to when I watched their matches growing up. When I play these games, when I play these matches, I try to imitate and emulate what they would do in the ring in real life. So I'll repeat, no. Unfortunately, WWE 2K25 is not a game that you want to pick up if you haven't played a 2K game in a while. I would say pick up 2K24 before the servers are up. Let me know what you feel in the comment section. It's your boy Soul Drum 86, and I'm out. Peace.